So, Dracula. He just wants to drink blood and be ominous. I finally tackled the book that is Dracula. I decided at some point in time recently in the last few years I wanted to read more classic horror. I had tried reading Dracula when I was really young. I think I was 11 or 12, and I found it mind-numbingly boring. Obviously couldn't get into it. And I mean, at that age, who was I kidding trying to read that? And it is a very, very slow burn. Maybe one of the most slow burns that I have read in my lifetime. I don't know. But it's also atmospheric, and I was very intrigued by it. And then I've only really seen some of the Dracula movies, so you get to see the characters in there like that have become kind of iconic, obviously, over the years. Dracula, of course, Renfield, Van Helsing, Lucy Westenra, and then you have the other characters that come into play. And this is written in, I want to say, 1897. This is a book for, if you like classics, if you want to delve more into a book that is a staple in horror. I mean, it's such a well-known figure and book. It's just something I felt like I should read. Like the fact that, like, I've read some Shirley Jackson, but I need to read more of her books. I've only read I've Always Lived in the Castle, and I read her short story, The Lottery. But I would like to read some of her other books as well. And then I think I read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley when I was younger, but I don't remember. So I might revisit that one too. But I want to read older horror as well, just to see how it compares to stuff from this day and age. But I also have a hard time at some points in time reading like older books like that. So I never know how I'm going to vibe with it. I really thought I was maybe going to end up DNFing it, which I didn't. It was interesting enough. And you have to be someone, I think, that likes a building of atmosphere and dialogue and story. And some of the things that were annoying to me, because obviously we're going to have things I liked and things I didn't. So I like the atmosphere of it. I did like the story. I thought the story was decent. You know, it's old, so there's kind of like old ideas in it. And it was funny to me how surprised that the men were throughout the story that this one woman kept coming up with these great ideas that were smarter than what they were coming up with. So that was amusing. But some of the accents in it for, like, I guess what you would call like the working class, like whether they were people working at like a warehouse or on a boat. I don't know if the accent was supposed to be like some crazy kind of like Cockney or what. This is over in Europe. I have no idea. I could be completely off. Or just something that Bram Stoker made up. But instead of having that crazy accent, just write it normally like the rest of the book. But that was many years ago. I don't have a say in this. I just found it annoying to read because I didn't always know what the F they were talking about. I mean, you could get the gist of it, but it seemed to be so obnoxious. I always find it slightly amusing when accents are written into books, and it can either be done decently or not. And I don't know that this was done decently. To me, in this day and age, I don't think it was. And I think it would have served better just to write it the way the rest of the book was pretty much written. But that's just me. If you have an interest in vampires, like, this is one of the OG vampire stories. Outside of this, like, Varney the Vampire comes to mind. So as someone who's had a fascination with vampires since I can remember, from being a teenager and getting into Anne Rice, and then some of the other, I mean, yes, of course, I've read the Twilight series. I read that when I was a lot younger. And then just any other vampire books I could get my hands on. I have found a lot of really great vampire books as of late. Coffin Moon by Keith Rawson comes to mind, and then also Our Own Unique Affliction by Scott J. Moses. That's an indie horror author, and that one's pretty fantastic. That is a video I should make. We should make Sin's favorite vampire books. In the story of Dracula, it's written in, what do they call it? Epistolary form, which is a series of diary entries, letters, telegrams, this, that, and the other, and you have all the different characters telling their stories. It starts out with Jonathan Harker. He is a solicitor, and he goes to Transylvania to Count Dracula's castle. He goes to explain, like, this new estate that the Count has bought in London, and as he's there, he starts to see all the creepiness that is Count Dracula, how he never eats. And then he starts to suspect stuff, and he sees the Count crawl out his window one day and crawl down the castle wall like a flippin' lizard. And the Count's like, you can go anywhere in the castle, just not in the places where the doors are locked. Oh, and also, don't fall asleep in any room that is not your own bedroom because you're not safe there. And so he decides he's going to go sleep somewhere else that's not his bedroom to defy the Count, like, because he kept disbelieving everything that his brain was screaming to him, like, hey, dude, warning bells, warning bells. He falls asleep and he wakes up and there's these women who are basically talking about they're all going to drink his blood and whatnot. But then the Count comes and he's super pissed off and he throws the one lady out of the way and this, that, and the other, and then takes the guy back to his room. And you think that he's not going to be leaving this castle. And I still don't understand why he was actually able to leave, but he did. Well, the Count has this estate now in London. Once the Count gets to London, stuff starts happening to these different characters, like this Lucy Westerna character. She's very beautiful and ethereal and whatnot, and her friend Mina Harker, who is the woman who is Jonathan Harker, who went to Count Dracula's castle. Mina is Jonathan's fiance, and Lucy is like her best friend. I think they grew up together because they lived in a house together or whatnot. I'm not really sure, but I don't know that they were actually related. Anyway, when the Count does come to London, Lucy tends to sleepwalk, and one of these nights she sleepwalks over to this area that's kind of near a graveyard, and apparently the Count finds her there. But her friend Mina wakes up in the middle of the night and goes and like saves her. But then after this, the Count keeps coming to her, and then like a doctor comes to see Lucy and tries to figure out what's wrong with her because she looks oh so pale and this, that, and the other, and they start to figure out that blood loss, this, that, and the other. And eventually the one doctor, what is his name, John Seward, he calls in his friend Arthur Van Helsing. And Van Helsing, they say he has an open mind and he knows about vampires and paranormal stuff and occult stuff and all this and such. And so he kind of knows what's going on, but he knows he can't really tell these people because they're not going to believe it, because people don't really believe in these things. They close their minds and they're like, ridiculous, it cannot be, this, that, and the other. And so, like I said, the story was definitely enjoyable. It just takes a long time to get through it. If you do like classics, if you do like a very, very slow molasses, slow burn, you are a fan of stories that are told within journals and letters and this, that, and the other, then you might just like Dracula. If you're someone like me who just wanted to read it because I feel like I want to get more into like the older horror classics, then I would say read it. I thought it was a decent book. Would I read it again? No. No, I wouldn't, but I'm really glad I read it because it's just, like I said, one of those things that I wanted to read. So if you have any interest in vampires or Dracula or classic books and you haven't read Dracula, maybe check it out. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that does not sound like an enjoyable read to you, because I can understand how it definitely wouldn't be. Also, if you have a favorite vampire book, let me know, because I'm always looking for more good vampire books to read. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.